Oh, it was just responding to the comments that Hollister made about your.
Oh, experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So expanding on that, tell me about your. You've already told me a little bit about this, but your experience with local leaders. You know, some of the clashes or disagreements you've had with the county manager and the district attorney.
Oh, let me back up
Oh,
about
okay.
the getting rid of the undersheriff. And the undersheriff position, frankly, was superfluous. It's a political appointment. I don't need a political ally here, okay? When you bring and fill that position, what you're doing is you're bringing an at-will political person. First of all, I actually believe people who work here should have rights of an employee. And as an at-will elected official's appointment, you don't have those rights. Okay, that's number one. Second of all, those are hard roles to fill because as an elected official appointee, you become the elected official. And that is a difficult role for anyone to fill. You'll see that with staffers to the governor and staffers to legislative appointments for state reps. Those are difficult roles and not everybody can fill them. So number one, I didn't need a political ally here. And second of all, we have a command structure. At the time I walked in, they had a major, they have captains, they have lieutenants. In our world, being law enforcement, that's how our organization works. So in a way, that position was very outdated.
So moving on, what is your plan to deal with the crime in the county?
Well, let's look at the crime. Okay, so we've had an uptick in violent crime. That's nationwide, okay? These are situations where our best foot forward is to be prepared and be able to respond to the threat. So looking back at the last 3 officer-involved shootings, those were where we responded with people shooting at us. Okay, you don't prevent that. I don't know how you would even focus on who those people were before you came upon them. So there is that issue. We don't prevent crime, by the way. We displace crime or we mitigate crime. So let's talk about that. The next largest area of uptick is stolen vehicles, by far. I think it's up 30% this year, countywide. So what we have done, I've used my intel unit. We're working with, in fact, on this, we're working with state police and Las Cruces PD would like to help, but they're a little short-handed. So we're working on focusing on that. We have a bait car that is being put into service so that we can put that out. We're using our rapid DNA to take a DNA off of recovered stolen to try to identify those individuals. So let's focus our resources where the problem is. The problem right now is definitely stolen vehicles, okay? And I would say that let's respond in a targeted approach. Or also, I can't speak too directly to this, but we have some technology that we're purchasing that we're going to be able to monitor major roadways. And it's real time. So if there's an alert put out by Las Cruces PD and we know a stolen vehicle is moving or is out, at least countywide, within a periphery of the city of Las Cruces, we'll be able to monitor that movement. So we're using both deployment of personnel and we're using technology to begin to give us a bigger stake, a bigger presence in that effort.
I think the last area we're going to go into is talking about the southern border with Mexico. So do you believe that DASO should be involved with the Stone Garden Grant?
Okay, the Stone Garden Grant, we pulled out in 2019, I believe was the last year. There were some issues with Stone Garden. We're the fiscal agent, okay? I was faced with partnerships of small jurisdictions that were given money through our particular grant application, and then we're responsible for them. So that was a big concern to me, because we were subject to immediate audit by the federal government, by FEMA in that case. FEMA is the pass-through agency for most grants. Okay, we were given these funds, we were subject to audit immediately without notice. So I turned around and went to our recipients at the time, which were some of these smaller agencies together with state police. I said, we want you to be subject to the same random audit. No. You know who pays the debt when they don't meet the obligation? And by the way, some of these haven't in the past. The county. I can't encumber county monies when I can't be guaranteed. Now, ultimately, that allotted us about $300,000 a year in overtime. As a result of not being in it, did we stop working on narcotics trafficking? No, we have Metro. We continue to do that job. Our individual deputies do that. Did we stop on trafficking, human trafficking? Of course not. Of course not. He's talking about, I can move a whole group of people over to do border, I don't know, stand at the crossroads of the border, you know, drug paths. Number one, we have an obligation to the county residents. First, they pay our taxes. This quarter, I believe, Metro sees 12,500, this quarter, 12,500 fentanyl pills. That's a fairly large seizure. That doesn't include all the meth we took in. Coke is coming back, by the way. Cannabis trade is down, Coke is up, and I believe we took 15 handguns. So we're continuing those efforts. So to say that we're not doing our job, I guess really my opponent is saying that Metro, Las Cruces PD, our deputies are not doing their job. I'm not sure where he gets that data from, but certainly they are very active, and we've come upon, in our own investigations, I believe 188 trafficked individuals since the spring. So therefore, apparently we are still doing that job with or without Stone Garden. Stone Garden is a grant that certainly should be and could be revamped. It's been a long time, and legislation needs to update the focus of that grant. And I was able, a couple of years ago, to be one of 6 sheriffs to meet with Secretary Mayorkas, and I did tell him that, and he did tell me that he agreed, and that he was going to try to do that by the end of his first term under President Biden.
I have one last question for you, Sheriff. What is a question that you'd like to see answered by Byron Hollister?
You know, I think I'd like to ask him why now he wants to be the sheriff. Okay, I've been here for 4 years. I faced off a number of candidates. I think public opinion pretty much has definitely supported our change. They voted me in, they wanted change. I would like to ask him why now. And the only answer he has really given is because the homeless is on his doorstep in his business. And I have to remind him that's the city of Las Cruces. And that's something he needs to take up with the chief as a business owner. That's not a reason to run for sheriff.